Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're so happy to have you here at our SLAM conference. My name is Nancy, and I'm part of the Mentor program. And I am so excited to present a special friend that I met in Atlanta, and his name is Trevor Olsen. He's a Utah State body president at Utah State. And not only is he one of a kind weirdo, but he's also such a great friend and such a great leader, and has influenced my life over in leadership over the week that we spent together. His speech is going to be about leading one by one, and he's going to be presenting on that. And I just want to say Trevor is not only, he just can whip out the name just like that. And he's a great dancer, and I know we talked before about this presentation, and he's like, I'm nervous, and he starts shaking. I'm like, no, you keep it together, Trevor, you keep it together. So I'm really excited to introduce Trevor Olsen.
Thanks, Nancy. Thank you guys all for coming. I'm really excited to be here. I went to a conference in Georgia and met all of the UV mentor leaders, and it was really fun. They had us do this thing. We were in this big room, and they said, pretend like this floor right here is the United States. I'm in Georgia, right? So I'm assuming you might know anyone from anywhere in New York. And Trevor, he said next to me, we went to a leadership conference at USU Eastern Enterprise. So I recognized him. How can you miss the guy with Trez, right? And they did a dance, and he was Tarzan. So I was like, I know who this guy is. And he stands right by me, and I'm like, you went to UVU, right? And he's like, yeah, I go to UVU. How do you know me? And I was like, I'm student body president of Utah State. And he's like, oh yeah, you went to that conference. We had this bond. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm so comfortable. I'm like, oh. And he's like, yeah, 40 people from UVU are here. And all of a sudden, UVU became my family. So I'm glad to be here. I also know student body president Dylan really well, and the student government here. So I've kind of claimed UVU as my second university. If I went anywhere else, this is where I'd go. I'm really excited to be here. But I'm going to be presenting today about how to lead one by one. And I know it was under the social change category. That's because we're going to talk about social change and how you change the world by leading individuals after you find your vision. So first we're going to start talking about vision and dreams, okay? So part of what I want to change in the world is I want people to quit saying follow your dreams. I want people to say follow your vision. And I'm going to teach you guys the difference. So I want all of you guys to close your eyes, and I'm going to send you through a scenario. So imagine you're in the middle of the ocean, and this ship sunk, right? So you're on this little ducky, and it's cold, so you fall asleep. And while you're sleeping, imagine that you're asleep, and now imagine that you're dreaming in your sleep. And imagine in your dream that you see some land off in the distance. And so you start moving toward it. And in your dream, you're paddling, and you're getting so close, and when you wake up, you feel the sun on your face, and you're in the middle of the ocean, and you don't see anything. What do you do now to get to land? And some of you can shout out what you're doing. Devise a plan, okay. Anybody else? What?
Paddling.
Paddling, okay. I've heard people say they'll pray. Okay, so now whatever you do, you devise a plan, you pray, or you're paddling. If you pray and you devise a plan, I want you to just start following it, right? So a lot of people, they'll say also they saw something in their dreams, and so they followed what they felt like they were going in their dreams. Now imagine it's 6 hours later, are you still paddling? Is anybody still paddling 6 hours later? Okay, a couple head nods. Okay, another 6 hours go by. Still no land, nothing in sight. Are you still paddling? How many of you have given up at this point?
I'm dead.
Okay, a couple of you have not given up. Okay. So, a lot of people, they have these dreams, right? They have these things that they want to accomplish. They call them dreams, something that are super big. There are a few things that we know about dreams. Dreams are fleeting and temporary. We often have dreams. If we think of a dream at night, we dream and then it's gone. Most of us don't remember probably 99% of the dreams we ever had, if we remember any of them. There's something that come and they might encourage us to do something, and they might make us excited about something, but then they're gone. Also, dreams are distant, right? They're not something that we can feel tangibly, they're something that are kind of far away from us. We all feel removed from our dreams, whatever they are. Whether it's a dream that you have at night or it's a dream for your life, we feel very removed from them. And because of that, our dreams are often unrealistic, the ones that we create for ourselves. We have these big things and we say, this is a dream that I have and someday I hope to accomplish it. But I think most people have just decided that we have these dreams and it's something that's never going to come to pass. It's something we'll never really achieve. We'd be super happy if we did achieve it, if we became famous and had millions of dollars or whatever your dream is. But a lot of us have these dreams and we feel like we'll never actually be there. So with that, dreams don't give us any direction, they don't give us any plan. If you think about the scenario we just went through, you had a dream, and some of you follow the dream, you say, this is where I felt like I was going, but after that, you can, if you don't find land, you give up, right? It doesn't give you any direction, it also doesn't give you any motivation. So I want you guys to close your eyes again, and envision yourselves again in this boat. You turn to your left, and you see a little hill in the distance, and you realize that's land. As soon as you recognize that that's land, what do you start doing? Just shout it out.
Freaking out.
Are you paddling or swimming, whatever you're doing, are you doing it with more energy than you were before?
Yes.
Okay. So, how long are you going to go? Say 6 hours pass, you see the land getting closer. Are you going to continue paddling, swimming?
Yes.
Another 6 hours go by. Do you think you'll still be going? Maybe not with as much energy, but do you think you'll still be going, right? Okay. Okay, so
I'm getting real here, man.
no, that's good. So there are a few things we know about vision. Vision, what we learned is long term. It's something that we have, something that we know is achievable. It's something that we can reach, something that we can get to. And because of that, after 12 hours, almost all of you except for Dylan, with just a dream, most of you would stop, most of you had given up. Ellie said that she was dead already, so who knows what's going to happen. But with vision, after 12 hours, all of you said that you would still be moving towards land, moving towards something, because you see something in front of you. Vision is real, and vision is focused. The great thing about vision is that the closer you get to your vision, the more focus and the more detail you receive. So, maybe you'll be moving to land, and then it looks a little bit sketchy, and there's skulls on posts, and maybe like, yeah, I'm going to turn around, maybe this isn't where I want to go. But at least you knew because you got closer, you were able to have that detail. With the dream, you never get that detail, you never get that focus. Something else is that vision is motivating, right? That's something that was already said. It's going to keep you moving even when you're tired and maybe you're going to die from exhaustion. Vision also creates purpose and direction. You feel like there's a reason you're doing something. You're not just paddling to paddle. You're paddling because now you know you can get somewhere. All of a sudden there's more reason behind what you're doing, and you have more energy to do it. So we're going to focus on vision today, and how we can create our vision, how we develop our vision. But there are a few things that I want you to know about vision. Some things that some people feel are counterintuitive. First, you can have multiple visions. You can have a vision for yourself, you can have a vision for your family, you can have a vision for a group that you're a part of. Often, all of this will combine into one, and we can have all of our visions be a part of each other, and sometimes they're separate. So don't feel like if you create a vision or whatever we work on today, don't feel like you have to be stuck right there. Remember that different areas of your life can have different visions, which is great. One thing that I already talked about a little bit is that visions can be focused or they can receive more detail. A dream, those dreams that we have for our lives, they're there and these things we want to accomplish, but we have a hard time creating detail around them because they're so far removed from us. But if we create a vision for ourselves, we can, as we get closer, add more detail, that we want to accomplish these things or we want to do this along the way. The other thing is that people can have the same vision, multiple people. Something that I didn't include as a part of this is that people can catch a vision, which is incredible, right? How many of you have ever heard somebody talk about something they're really passionate about? How many of you get really engaged, or you can start connecting with them and you start to want the same things they want, right? If you share dreams with somebody, you're like, yeah, one day I want to be famous, I want to be a movie star. They're like, hey, that's cool, right? So you're like, yeah, I want to go to this college and do all this stuff, and I know people at this college who move people into this area, and all of a sudden there's a vision. You can have the same thing, but there's a vision, which creates a plan. And it's something you can share with people, and that they can catch as well. People can't catch dreams. I mean, there are things called dream catchers, so many people try, but you can catch a vision without even trying to, which is pretty incredible. But how do you find your vision? So this is something that I want you guys all to do. You all have notebooks, and so you're going to have a chance to write some stuff down. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes on each of these questions. Things that may help you find your vision. Anybody who went to leadership, some of these questions have already been asked. A lot of you already have your vision, which is awesome. But the first question is, when you daydream, what do you daydream about? So when you're in class and you quit listening to your professor, where does your mind go automatically? What things do you start thinking about without even knowing that you're thinking about them? And this is sometimes a kind of an abstract thing to think about. What do you think about when you're not thinking about anything, right? Guys often can not think about anything, girls can't. So it's when you don't think you're thinking about something, but then you realize you do. And some of you may not be able to pull this out right now. Maybe you guys will have to take some time to think about it. For me, I had a really hard time with this question. And later that day, after they asked us this, I was sitting there and they were presenting, I don't remember what it was, we were watching some video, and I started thinking about something, and I remember thinking, oh, this is what I'm daydreaming. What am I daydreaming about? What am I thinking about? And for me, something that I'm very passionate about is helping people who deal with mental health illnesses. And I often spend a lot of time thinking, there are so many people who don't feel like their lives are worth living, and what can I do to help them feel like they're valued, feel like they're important? And that's whenever I daydream, that's probably 90% of the time that's what I'm thinking about. What can I do to help people feel like they're important, feel like they're valued? Some people, they think about different things. I have a friend, his life is soccer. His life has been soccer his whole life. And when he daydreams, he just daydreams about him being on a professional soccer team. And every day he practices. He's going to try out for the Real Monarchs next year when they have their tryouts. He's been too scared to do it for the past few years, but like that's what his vision is, becoming a professional soccer player. That's what he thinks about. That's where his mind takes him. That's where he puts all of his extra time. If he's not putting it into work or school, he puts it into soccer. But I have put a lot of time, luckily with being student body president, I've been able to create some campaigns statewide as well as at my university that deal with mental health and bring some attention to mental health. So I've been fortunate to have my job align with my vision. But it's okay if it doesn't. You can have a job, you can have a career that doesn't align with your vision, as long as you're still achieving that vision, you're not setting it aside. So this is something really important to think about. Where does your mind take you when you are just off somewhere else? Think about things when you've talked to people. What do you get passionate about? This subject is something I get very passionate about. I can start helping people find their vision and find their path in life. It gets me really excited. And I start talking really fast, so I'm sorry if I mumble a little bit to you guys. But it's something that I get really excited about, and I can feel, I just want to I wish I could just take my brain and tell you everything that I'm telling you in this presentation so you can understand it the way I do. So think about things when you're speaking to people. What do you get really excited about when you talk about? Do you get really excited about, I don't know, your university, right? There's one reason I went for student government is because I love to talk about Utah State. One reason I'm working with mental health is because I love talking to people who are dealing with mental health illnesses and sharing my story as someone who's also dealt with mental health. So what do you get passionate about when you talk to people? And the last one is, if these have been hard to think about, what's a service project or just a project in general? Something you've worked on that you thought, wow, I enjoyed that way more than I expected. I know a girl who, she thought she hated animals, and she went with our service group at Utah State to the animal shelter in Cache Valley. And she loved it. She's like, I got to play with all these dogs, and I got to see how excited they got around people, and all these people were coming in, and I was really excited to help them find a pet to take home because they're just sitting here in these cages. And she was really surprised at the fact that all of a sudden, she didn't think she liked animals. She went to this thing, and all of a sudden, that's what she does. There's a program in Logan called Rent a Puppy. They have puppies that are at the shelter, and a way to help get people aware that the shelter exists is to do rent a puppy. And for $15 an hour, you can rent a puppy. Guys do it all the time for their girlfriends, so if you're ever in Logan, look up Rent a Puppy. But she got involved with Rent a Puppy, and that's been something really fun for her and really awesome because she's been able to help people see the importance. And a lot of the people who deliver the puppies just bring the puppy and they say, "I'll be back in an hour." But she like spends time with them and she like convinces them to adopt the puppies. She probably more than anybody else has helped puppies get adopted. But so think about if these two have been hard for you to think about because they're kind of abstract, it's not something we often think about. This is a little bit easier to connect with, something that you've worked on, some kind of project you've really connected with. So spend some time doing that. I'm going to give you guys like 2 or 3 minutes without me talking to think about these questions. And then we're going to watch a video that's going to kind of take us in another direction. We'll bring everything back around. Well, I'll let you guys sit and think about this for 2 or 3 minutes. And if you want to write down more than one thing, you totally can. Right? We have multiple visions. We can be working on multiple things at once. So I'll give you guys some time real quick to do that. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to watch my absolute favorite TED Talk. This TED Talk has changed the way I think about leadership, and this is where leading one by one comes in. So we're going to talk about, kind of leave behind our vision for a second. We're going to talk about the importance of leading one by one, and then how our vision plays into that. This is a guy, he works at a university in Toronto. It's at TEDx Toronto. It's called Everyday Leadership. If any of you have seen it, it's super short. It's only like 6 minutes. He talks really fast, like I do. You can tell it's something that he's really passionate about. So pay attention, because if you stop listening for a second, you'll miss a lot. Unless you're daydreaming, then think about what you're thinking about and write that. So we're just gonna listen to this for a sec.
I want to start by asking everyone in the audience here a question. How many of you are completely comfortable calling yourselves a leader? See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do, that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. And we start to take moments where we truly are a leader, and we don't let ourselves take credit for it, and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happier. And with my short time today, I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition. I went to a school in a little school called Mount Olsen University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, "On my day before I started university, I was in a hotel room with my mom and my dad. And I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day. And if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us and we'll take you home. We love you no matter what." And she said, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the Student Union building wearing the stupidest hat I had ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shine Around, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shine Around. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, you need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you. And she said, I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life. He turned beet red. He wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face and you looked at my mom and my dad and you said, look at that. Look at that. First day away from home and already she's taking candy from a stranger. And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy and I don't know why I'm telling you this. But in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm going to miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flat. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, you've been an incredibly important person in my life, was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? All right. How many of you have told that person they did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And then we have people who have made our lives better walk around without knowing it. And every single one of you has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you have it, think about all the hands that didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other. Marianne Williamson said, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us. And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and one day our kids, or our kids right now, can watch us start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives more than money and power and titles and influence. We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pay forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you change the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for letting me share it with you today.
Yeah, that's platform. So one reason I shared this video is because this video for me was a lollipop moment. I watched this video for the first time to the point where I felt really self-conscious, and I felt like I had failed at a lot of things that I had tried, and I wasn't worth anything. And this man helped me understand that my life is bigger than myself, that I can do something as long as I'm helping people around me, as long as I can make a difference in people's life around me. So that's one reason I shared this. I want you guys to think about those people who have changed your life. I'm going to share a couple stories, a couple lollipop moments for me, and one that I was recently made aware of that I created for someone else. because I think it's important for us to realize that we've been changed by people around us. So growing up, my family, I grew up in poverty, right? For about 9 months during high school, my family was homeless. We moved around a lot. Before that, I never knew if I'd come home to have electricity in my house, if I'd come home to have water in my house. And I kind of always just assumed that I'd be stuck in that the rest of my life, that I'd never be able to come out of that or be something better. In high school, actually from 6th grade until 12th grade, I ran for class president every single year. I won 0 times. I made it to the final every time, always lost in the final elections. And I kind of just assumed that was because I couldn't become anything more than the situation I was in. My sophomore year, when I was running for junior class president, the student government advisor, sorry if I get a little emotional, he came up to me and he told me, you might as well quit trying, you're never going to be anything better than what you are right now. And that hurt a lot. And I was like, I'm going to show him that he's wrong. And I lost the election again. And I wasn't going to run my junior year for senior class president. But I had a teacher, Mrs. Merrill, she was an English teacher. And I wrote this paper about how I wished I could be something more, how I didn't feel like my life was that important. And she wrote a note, it was kind of along the lines of this, that said, just don't forget how powerful you are. That's all it said. There was no grade on it. I still don't to this day even know if she graded it or she just put something in. But it said that I'm more than I was at that moment. And that's something that I thought about a lot. And it encouraged me to run for senior class president. And I lost again. That's okay, because I was encouraged by somebody who didn't think she was making a big difference. Probably, I don't know if she thought that that moment would change the way I viewed the world, but it did. When I got to college, I decided I was going to not worry about involvement. Right? I tried and failed so many times in high school. I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to school, get good grades, I'm going to leave. Then I had a friend. We were, if any of you are LDS, we were home teaching companions. And we have a program at Utah State, kind of like the UV Mentors. It's called the A-Team. We mentor the new students, and we help them get registered for classes. And we help a teacher teach a class that just helps them get oriented to the school and kind of somebody that they can look to. And he was on the A-Team, and he said, I think that you can make a big difference in lives. And I was like, no, I can't, it's no big deal. And he brought an application home for me to fill out, and he said I wasn't going to do it. He basically filled it out for me, and he said, please just take it in. So I did. We went through the application process, and it was like the first time I felt like I had achieved something. I made it out to the A-Team. I remember looking at the list, and I just expected to not see my name. Just like every time I expected to hear the other person's name at the elections announcements, right? And when I made it, I remember thinking about how maybe I was more important, and I thought back to what that teacher had said. And I was like, yeah, you know what, maybe I can make a difference in lives. And it was because of that teacher, and then because of my friend who believed in me enough to get me involved. After that, I met a guy, his name was Trevor, who was running for student body president, and he said, hey, you're going to be my campaign manager. And I knew nothing really about Utah State at that point, so I thought it was a little bit weird that he wanted me to do that. But I was campaign manager, and he won. I applied for one of the positions that he appointed, and he appointed me to that position. And that was another moment. There was like a springboard for me to think, you know what, maybe I really am valued again. And there are these little things that people did, just asking me to do something that I didn't think I could succeed at. And then a year after that, I ran for student body president. Where the final election announcement, I was sitting there, my legs were shaking, and I prepared myself to hear the other person's name, like it happened for 12 years in high school and junior high. And when they announced my name, I didn't believe it for a second. I sat there and I thought, how did this happen? There are way more people in Utah State than in my high school, and why would they ever expect me to leave this school? And for a second, I sat there, the student body president, everybody said he was looking around to figure out where I was. He saw me in the crowd, and I was down like this, just freaking out. And he said he couldn't see me, so he was like, I don't know what to do. But I thought about all those people who helped me get to that point. Even some people will go, and that's great. But know that as you work towards that vision, that you will change people's lives. if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that every single person in the world has the ability to change somebody else's life. I've been able to thank some of the people who have changed my life. But if you guys, I want you to write down some names, take some time to write down the names of those people who have created lollipop moments for you. What I want you to do is to reach out to them. One of the most incredible feelings to have somebody tell you that you changed their life. When Matt came up to me after the elections announcement and said, "I'm here because of you," and to see like the hope in his eyes that he can do something, that was powerful for me. And right at that moment, I said, I want to change the world. I need to go help people. I need to do something more than what I'm doing right now. And that's the impact that all of you can have on somebody's life. If all of you change just one life, you've made a difference in the world. You've changed the world because that person might change one other person's life. And even if it's just to change one after one, eventually we can touch every person in the world. But that's not how change happens. With Pay It Forward, you do something for somebody. Most people, because they're so motivated, don't help just one person. They go out and they help multiple other people. And when you get to see those things change, I've never been more motivated than I was on Thursday night when Matthew said, "Thank you for helping me get here." And I said, you know what, I can change the world. I can make a difference. And I want you guys to know that as you catch your vision, and as you start to realize that you are something bigger than yourself, that people will catch that. People will find your vision and they'll hold on to it. Some people might just hold on to that the whole way. The nice thing is we can have the same vision, and multiple people around the world have the same vision. And the beautiful thing is when those people come together and we realize that in groups, we're even more powerful than we were alone. If you guys remember anything from this, I want you to remember two things. One, if you have a vision in your life, it's going to give you direction, it'll give you hope, it'll give you motivation to continue through even the roughest times. There was a moment in college where I considered taking my life because everything was going wrong. My family had a bunch of problems. I was failing my classes. I was in a position of leadership, and I felt like I was being somebody that I really wasn't. And somebody helped me overcome that and become something bigger. And that's been one of the springboards to me wanting to help other people, because I know the impact that one person can have on one person's life. As we find our visions, as you guys do that, as you find a vision, you have motivation in your life, the other thing I want you to remember is that you will change lives. Whether you know it or not, whether you can see it or not, you're changing lives. And never feel like you're not worth something, because we're all worth something because we can help somebody else. And as we help other people, the world has changed. So if you guys can remember those things, then I've made my difference in the world, and I hope that you'll go out and do the same. Thank you guys for saving some time.
We can get music.
Or just do it with me.
What's one thing you wish you knew when you were in high school or junior high when you were going through that hard time that would have helped you maybe back then?
One thing that's really easy to say looking back is that I wish I would have known the difference I could have made. We've had a lot of suicides on our campus at Utah State, and that's something I think about every time I hear about it, is if they only knew the difference they could have made in the world, they would have never done that. And I wish I would have known that no matter what people said, that I was important, that I was valued, that I mattered, really. That's not something that I knew. And that's kind of one reason I'm really passionate about this, is because I just want people to realize that they can make that difference, because we'll find those people along the way. Luckily, I had a few people find me and we get out of that. I just wish that we could all, I wish I would have known that everything would work out and that I could make a difference in the world. I think one thing that the world needs to be better at is praising and being gracious towards those who change their lives. And I hope that all of you can be generous in your praise and in your grace, your gratefulness towards other people, because that motivates people as well. So I wish I would have known the importance of helping other people and the importance that I can make in the world. So, is there another question? Oh yeah.
Are you going to do any conferences or any type of other presentations like this soon?
I don't have anything planned. I'd love to. So if you guys know opportunities to let me, I would love to do it. Public speaking terrifies me, and I've been shaking. That's why my hands are together most of the time, to like calm myself down a little bit. But if I can help people understand their importance, that's what I'm doing this for, to help people understand the change they can make. So if I have any opportunity to do that, and if you guys have any opportunity as well, I hope you'll take it.
Do you have like a card?
I don't, but I can.
We're from Job Corps and maybe it'd be cool for you.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk. I can give you my information after. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Yeah.
How do you stay humble? Because you're always, I know you're a very, like, I know you, but I know some other people struggle with that sometimes.
I think the best way to stay humble is to recognize. I mean, it's the same. I'm going to say the same answer a lot, but when you recognize that you can change other people's lives, it brings you down from this high horse. When I first became the president, I mean, I like to say that I was the president. I loved it, and then I realized like how awful that was, like putting myself above other people. And when my vision is to help people find their worth, like how am I going to do that if I'm above them, right? So I think the biggest thing is just serving other people and making sure that you're making a difference in the world. And if you see people's situations and as you hear about them, it's really easy to stay in a place that's real and to not put yourself above other people. Any other questions?
Okay, well,
Great.
let's give it
Thank
up
you, guys.
for Trevor.